that started like calling his little brother, and that they grabbed him by the hand and they took him. And he said that he went and tried to get him, but he was gone. Dude. That the older sister could like see the doll, and the doll started grinning. And
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Safe Room, where you're safe and no topic is off limits. As always, very blessed to be here with my brother and to be doing this. Today's been a good day, guys. And we definitely have some very interesting topics to dive into today. Um, oh, before we even go in, how as always we wanna, I always want to introduce, how me and my brother are doing. But how are you doing today, man?
pretty good, not bad. It's the weekend, so it's my time to rest up and just record. Because I like to share my stories and just show some love to the viewers, to the subscribers, to everybody. Just tell them about my day, how it's going. But that's pretty good. I'm just relaxed, and like I said, try to enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the weekend as well, and everything's going good for you guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in again. Um, we are getting better at this, so we'll see how today goes.
Yeah, and like I stated before, guys, you're definitely gonna see the, I guess, how much we've learned throughout the course of time with our videos. Like, and we're still learning every day. So, um, we are, very accepting to critiques and everything. If there's anything you feel like we can improve or any type of thing like that, always feel free to let us know. But all right, man, let's kick off this episode because I'm pretty sure everyone's very eager to hear what we got to talk about. So let's kick it off, man.
All right, guys. So, do I have a good story for you guys? Not that the stories that I say are not good, but this one, this one really caught my attention. So, this story starts off with, it's titled "She Never Goes Away." So, it starts off with this little girl. She's the youngest of her siblings, and they bully her a lot. So every single time that they get the chance, they'll bully her.
As per always, guys, we've all been in that situation. Even I have been, but I mean, we're all kids at one point, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean the only difference is that you were the middle, and then I feel like we kind of like bullied Shelby, as we were
Yeah,
growing up.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess we did. Yeah.
But in her case, it was like they were way older, so they would bully her. They would always make her feel, like shit, and she would cry. And then there was this point in time where she had one of her favorite dolls. Her doll's name was Jessica, and she would always hug her doll and cry to her and be like, "Why do they always bother me? Like they always bully me. Like why do they treat me like this? Like if they're my family." So then there was this instance where they have an aunt and they called her the satanic aunt. Like oh, there goes the satanic aunt. But the only reason why they called her that was because she liked to do like rituals and mess around with like magic stuff, things like that.
And there's gonna be like an inside, no, not inside joke, but inside thing. If any for people that know us or related to us, the cook.
Yeah, technically, well that means yeah the crazy aunt. They say everybody has one. So yeah, so the aunt comes over to the house and she sees that the siblings are like bullying her, and she's like, "Hey, like, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you guys bully her like that? Like, she's younger than you guys, like, why are you guys doing that to her?" So then she's like, "I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, straight up, from now on, you guys are not gonna bully her anymore. Like, this ends today. Like, you guys are not gonna bully her." So they got scared because they're like, "Well, she's how they know that she is, so she must be, like serious about something." So she looks at the little girl and she's like, "Oh, is that your doll?" She's like, "Yeah, her name's Jessica." So she's like, "You mind if I borrow her real quick?" And she grabs her doll and she says some words that she says she doesn't remember what it was. She doesn't know if it was another language or she just doesn't remember because she was so young. So she like whispers whatever she said towards the doll, and then she looks at the doll and she's like, "From now on, because you're here, nobody's gonna harm her, you know, and nobody's gonna hurt her." So then she gives her the doll back, right? And then it comes to the point where like it was a also her sister was gonna go bully her in her room. So she goes up to her into her room and she looks at her and she's like, "Let me guess, what are you gonna start crying? Are you gonna cry now?" And then she said that she heard shh, and they both turn around and it's the doll. And she said that the older sister could like see the doll, and the doll started grinning. So then she got scared, and she's like, "Nah, like, did you see that?" And the younger sister's like, "Nah, like, I didn't see anything." And she's like, "No, yeah, like, she's grinning." So she says that she grabbed the doll, and she put her out in the hallway because she's like, "Nah, like, this is weird." So they went to sleep, and then the little sister wakes up because the older sister's screaming, like in the middle of like in the morning, she's screaming. And she like looks at her, and her sister's like by the like the the headrest, like in a little ball, like scared as hell. And she's like, "What happened?" And then like at the footrest, you see the dog just standing there, like chilling. So she gets freaked out, and she like, "Nah, like, this is not cool. Like, your dog's possessed. Like, something's wrong with the dog." And she like, "Nah, like, nothing's wrong with my dog." So then what's it called? She like gets really attached to the dog. And then what's it called? So she just like basically keeps the dog because she really likes the dog, and she doesn't want to get rid of it. Like in that instance, like, what would you do if you were with your sibling and the dog when and then they started smiling at you?
Man, I think I would immediately get out of there. Honestly, to be with you, because even then, as an adult now, if I see a figure or anything like that, coming at me or do some type of transportation thing like that, or move in that type of, like, I guess, sinister way, then yeah, I'm way out of there. Especially me being a kid, I'm definitely probably even gonna pee my pants or something.
Yeah, and then there was also like another instance where I don't know what she did, the little girl, but she got in trouble with her mom. So after she got in trouble with her mom, the moms are like, "Why did you do like X, Y, and Z?" And she's like, "I didn't do it. It was my sibling." So she's like, "You know what? Now you really got me mad because you're lying. Like, you shouldn't be lying to me. Like, if it was you, just own up to it." So the little girl goes into her room, and she throws herself, but the doll's there like on her bed. So when she throws herself to the bed, like, the doll falls on her legs, and she said like, "Okay, like, whatever, like, it's because I threw myself on the bed." But then she's like, what's it called? She felt the doll like around her, like fall like by her leg, and then she started hugging her. And then she's like, "Man, like, like, is my doll like consoling me?" You know? And then what's it called? So then that happened, and after that she started kind of like freaking out because different things were happening to her. Like, first it was like with the sister, now the doll's like consoling her. And then there was another instance where the little brother wanted to go like bother her, and there was like a little Rubik's cube in her room. So then he noticed that the Rubik's cube moved, and they started talking about like, "See, your doll's possessed, your room's haunted, like, there's something wrong with it." So they started giving the little sister crap about it. Um, and then what else happened? So that happened. And then there was so the I guess the mom kind of started noticing like weird things started happening around the house, and then the siblings started talking about like the dolls possessed and blah blah. So she told the little girl like, "Hey, I think you're already growing old, so you have to start getting rid of some of your toys." So she's like, "Okay," and she like, I guess she thought in her head, because Jessica's doing all this, like, I'm gonna get rid of her. So she grabbed her, she gave her away, and things kind of seemed to like chill in the house. And then like her godmother shows up, and she like, "Look what I brought you. Like, I brought you gifts." And it was like a doll that looked exactly like Jessica, but she was dressed like an elf, kind of like a little elf suit. And she like, her name is what was her name? We'll just say her name is mm, we'll just say her name is Jackie, because I forgot the name of the doll. So she's like, "Oh, yeah, like, sure, the doll looks exactly the same, but her name's not, you know, Jessica. Like, it's Jackie now." So then she puts the doll in her room, and she says that she goes to sleep. She goes to sleep, and then she said that she feels the doll jump off the bed at night, and she starts walking around in the room, and then she jumps on her bed, and she starts walking on top of her. You know and then she like jumps off the bed again and starts walking around her. So then after that, she had a nightmare. Well, it wasn't a nightmare, because she said that she felt at ease when she was having that dream, like it was a regular dream, and that in that corner there was a little person there in that corner, and then she basically saw the doll, and she's like, oh, Jackie. And then she like got closer and she's like, nah, I'm not Jackie, like my name's Jessica, like I'll be here forever, like I'm not going anywhere. She told her that. And so fast forward to a little bit of time, and then the little girl's like playing with her siblings, right? But her siblings are on the bottom, and she's like somewhere like not all the way up in her room, but on the porch. And the little brother's like, "Oh, are you gonna come down?" And then from her room is a voice that sounds exactly like her, says like, "Yeah, I'm going." And the little sister's like, "What the hell? Like I'm not even there." Like she's like looking at her brother talk into her room, and she's like, "What the hell? Like how did that happen?" So she like he turns around, he's like, "Whoa, you made it here so quick, like I was just talking to you from your room." He's like that She's like, "That wasn't me." So then after that, um so she basically, the mom saw that there was like little footprints um in the house, but it was like dirt. So she told the daughter, like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, you're doing this to scare me, right?" She's like, "No, I'm not doing anything to scare you." She's like, "Nah, like, I know what you're doing. Like, this is not funny." And the little girl's like, "No, mom, like, I'm not doing anything." So she started like following the footsteps, and she noticed that they were in the like going towards her room. So she got there, and she looks, and she like, oh, like she put the doll's feet in dirt, and they made the footprints, and it's her. But the trippy part is that when somebody uses their shoes, like what happens to the bottom of the shoes, right?
That you like, is it that you like kind of crease them, or it like kind of gets worn out the sole? No, like
Yeah.
the sole gets worn out. Yeah, yeah.
So it gets worn out. So she looked at the bottom of the shoes, dude, and they were worn out. Yeah, they were worn out. So then the mom freaks out, and she's like, "Nah, like okay, like something's going on." Like she's literally like how would that be a thing? Like how are the shoes worn out?
Yeah, from the inside.
Yeah. So she's like she grabs the doll, and the little girl sees. So she grabs the doll, takes her outside, and then she grabs like some gardening scissors, and she cuts the doll into pieces. Like, so she cuts it, puts it in a bag, throws it away. Then after that, like everything just seemed to calm down, right? So fast forward to later on, like the daughter gets older, she finds somebody that she falls in love with, and she gets married, right? She gets married, and she ends up getting pregnant. So she gets pregnant, and then after she gets pregnant, like it's like the due date where she's gonna have the baby. So she's gonna have the baby, and they give her gifts. Like the husband comes, and she's like, "Guess what, honey? Like they gave us a bunch of gifts. Like they're back at the house. Like when we get home, like we'll open them." And then so she has her baby, and then the doctors right away are she's the baby starts acting kind of like weird. So she notices, and she tells the doctors like, "What's wrong with my baby?" And they're like, "Oh, hold on, we gotta take her like an emergency." So they take the baby away, and they come back, and they're like, "We don't know what to tell you, but your baby passed away. Like her heart just stopped beating." So she got depressed. The husband got depressed. Like they go back into the house. Then they don't want to open the door to the room, to the baby's room, because they're like, nah, because memories and all that. Like who would want to go into that room? Like I don't blame them, especially after what happened. So she said she was by herself in the house, and then she all of a sudden hears somebody giggling from like the door from the room, dude. Like she hears somebody giggling, and she's like, "Damn, like nobody's here. It's just me. Like I gotta go check what it is." So she goes, she opens the door, and she like peeks in, and she could see like all the gifts around the room. So she looks inside the crib, and guess who's inside the crib?
Let me find out. It's Jessica.
Yeah, dude, like the original doll. And not just that, but the doll is holding her heart.
Dude, that is crazy,
Yeah,
man. So it started off as something to protect her, but then in the end, it pretty much destroyed her in a sense because she took her world away.
yeah, dude, and that's crazy, and that's an anonymous story. So I mean, take it as you will, but to me, like that shit gave me goosebumps. Like that story gave me goosebumps, man.
Yeah, dude, and it always makes you wonder, like when you hear these stories, like man, how specific they are, and it kind of that's what makes you wonder, like, did they happen? If they did happen, man, because it's like, how do those? How exactly would you feel if you were in that person's shoes? Like imagine that adrenaline or even that anguish or sadness that she experienced because of that doll, what it did to her, and even then, like I said, it goes back to what we always talk about in previous episodes. I feel like we tend to think we know what we're messing with, but we're little do we know we're far from that. I feel like we tend to take things like these type of things as a joke, and I don't think that we should.
Yeah, nah, dude, that's crazy. Like, if that was to happen to me, like a dog came to life or something, that like I don't know what I would do. Like, I'd be freaking out. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, it's a little dog, but at the same time, it's like if you burn it, if you cut it up, if it's an evil spirit, like it's never gonna go away. You know, like I personally like obviously you're bigger than the dog, and you could defend yourself. But then at the end of the day, like if it transfer itself to another doll or the same doll, and then like it just keeps coming back. I do have another story, but I'll tell it like after we probably touch on another topic, or if there's something you want to talk about. But no, definitely, like I said, that's one story that really like got my attention. Because that's intense.
Yeah, no, just thinking about it, like the other day that we were talking, and I honestly didn't believe when you told me that, dude. So I had to do some research, and yeah, dude, so the other day, and I couldn't recall, like, or I just remember you telling me, ever since we started the podcast, we're like, man, just try to. I'm like just curious to like of everything that we've been through, and then we just had that moment, but. Dude, I never thought that when you told me. So remember Toys R Us, right? Like how I'm pretty sure every kid loved going there.
Oh yeah, I love Toys R Us. I remember Dad would always be like, "Oh, you want to go to Toys R Us every weekend, or like every like not every other day, but at least once a week, twice, once every 2 weeks." Like he would take me. Like I was a little spoiled. I'm not gonna lie, especially because like I was the younger one and you were, I mean, you were the younger one. I was the oldest one, so I feel like they spoiled me more. But yeah, no, like I did notice that when I would go, and look at the stuff, I would look at the board games because I like the board games. And then, literally, I remember like a few days ago when I told you, like, dude, they used to sell Ouija boards at Toys R Us, like, and that's pretty intense because I'm like, okay, these are board games for kids, and they're giving you a Ouija board. Like, what the hell? Like, that shit's crazy. Like, imagine what's gonna happen if you play it.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna jump talk about, guys. So, and I do remember the irony, excuse me, that recently when I was talking to mom, and then asking her, she just randomly said, "Oh, there was a time that your cousin, was crying and wanted a pink Ouija board, but that, her mom didn't want to, and she said like, I'm not getting it for you, I'm not getting it for you, I'm not getting it for you," and I'm like. She said that, and then you told me that, so I looked it up, and yeah, in 1990 and then up to 2000s, they had this pink like Hasbro, girl version of the Ouija, and it's crazy because if you read the instructions, we'll probably put the picture, but you when you read the instructions, like it literally tells you, oh, put your hand over this with the other person, sit opposite, think hard, and it'll whatever, it's stuff like that. That's crazy, dude. And even then, I was like, well, that's no way. Maybe maybe this is something else. And dude, I looked at recent ones. Like if you go to the Toys R Us website right now, you could find some right there. And it's crazy because you look at the comments and everybody's giving it a 1 star, not because of the quality or whatever, but because of the power it possesses, or like it's not a toy. Like, and that's what I'm like. Isn't that insane that you know companies are marketing for kids to do that? Like think about it. Somehow or some way they open some type of portal or dimension, or I don't know, contact something, just because they don't know what they're doing or whatnot. I mean, think about it. Us as adults, we try to mess with all that stuff, and it always goes wrong 9 out of the 10 times, even in the movies. Oh look, I'm gonna get this person back. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, and boom. Next thing you know, they're possessed. They have a demon on them, or they're But I think that's crazy, dude. That the fact that they even decided to, or even still have them on them shows. I mean, What is your opinion on that?
I just think it's crazy. Like, why would you give somebody something that could like potentially change the rest of their life? You know? like things to happen, then your parents are gonna be wondering like, why is there a demon in my house, or why are things moving, or what's going on with my child? You know, like all that stuff is crazy. Like I don't know in whose head was it, like, okay, this is a toy and let's sell it, let's market it, let's sell it to kids. You know, like that's just, I don't know, like negligence on their part, but it could be part of a like higher story or something. Like I don't know why marketed towards children though. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, even me to this day, dude. I don't care what people say or who or what they were to call me, but man, I'm never messing with that. And just imagine, like I said, even then, the crazier part too is that like there's people that literally write reviews and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I recommend to buy this. Like it's good for kids." And it's like, like why would they write something like that? Or like I said, I just find it really, like fascinating in a way that a lot of people know what's up with that thing, and they like straight up put it in like the review section. So I mean, think about it this way: what would you do if you're going to the store and you're trying to get your kid a toy, and then he or she's looking around everywhere, and next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, Dad, I want this," and then little do you know, you're like, "Oh, let me see what it is," and it's a Ouija board. Like,
Yeah, no, they're not gonna get it just straight up. Like we literally just talked about Veronica, how she like the movie, in our other podcast. If you guys, or not other podcast, but the other episode. So if you guys want to check our prior episode, I believe it's episode 2. It's about Veronica. Quick rundown. She basically plays the Ouija board because she wants to talk to her dad that had passed away, and then really strange things start happening to her. So she basically has to protect her and her siblings from like the demon that had attached to herself. I'm not gonna say too much, that way you guys can watch it. So with that being said, like watching those movies and all that stuff, like nah, like they're not gonna get it. Like they could cry, they could act up, but they're not gonna get it. They'll get the chancla, but nah, you know.
no, nobody likes the chancla. Yeah, no, but definitely. Do we? Like I said, I guess just from like I said, what we grew up and what like our, I guess, kind of like what our older, like our uncles and aunts would always tell us, huh? Hey, like we always thought it was, them picking on us or being like messing with us, but in a way, it like they were to always tell us, watch out for this or watch out for that, and you would always be like, man, these people are all just messing with me, just trying to scare me, and because I feel like a lot of time, especially when you're young, they try to do that to you. Oh, then even then, like we're talking about toys, dude. Another story that I remember, like personally. I mean, not that anything eerie happened, but I just thought it was always really strange. Like I said, when we were having conversation recently, me and my brother going down memory lane. I remember when I was in like third or fourth grade, dude. Like, I don't mean this in a bad way or anything, but there's always that kind of odd kid that sticks out of the group, that's kind of alone or secluded. And like I said, mom always told us, they're kind of like always, if people aren't fitting in or on the sidelines, try to at least try to like
Be
have,
compassionate.
yeah, like have them be part of, the group or something, like anything like that. Point is, the funny thing is that why we kind of like started talking because I remember he would sometimes bring his toys to school in his book bag, and I would be like, oh, I liked his toys, and even then at that time, I remember the knack knacks where barely came out, and I remember like it was a thing. They even had this when we went to Toys R Us or
The
KB
little
Toys.
things that like click, right? The things that like click, or you can move them.
Yeah, yeah, the little. So they're if you guys want to look them up, or we'll put a picture too. They're like little figures that you connect, and you can make like like not like I guess types of patterns, or even like I don't know, any type of design, anything really. Like anyway, you can make a sculpture with them, or any whatever you could think of. But yeah, and then I remember like I was bringing them, and he told like when he saw that I brought the knickknacks, he liked them, and I remember my dad and someone else at the time bought me some too, so I had a good amount. And he liked them, and so I gave him one, and he even told me like, oh, I have a toy similar like this. So I'm like, oh, I thought he had one. And then come to think, he brings one like well, he the next day that we go to school, he brings a little figure that looks kind of similar but not similar. It literally looks like a miniature figure, like of an exact person but little. And he like when he took it out, he had it in a little bag and he had it wrapped. And I didn't think too much, as a kid, you're just like, oh. And then he told me like, yeah, this is my favorite toy. And I was like, oh, why? Like, why do you like him so much? And his very words, was like, oh, it's because he moves. And I'm like, like I said, as a kid, you think various things. You never, really stand on one point, I guess. And me, I was like, man, either this guy is telling the truth or something. And I guess that being young too, I was always really superstitious, I guess, at things. So, and then I told him, try to get a little more information. And I was like, well, how does he move, or how did he come to move, And he's like, oh yeah, every so often I have to take him to the basement and, like, light some candles. And then he says that he spins around and tosses it up a few times, and apparently says some things, and he leaves it there, and throughout the night until the candles go out. And by the time he goes, it's not there anymore, but it always comes back to him. And you think about it, how, I mean, you- I, I know a lot of times we're exposed to certain movies or environments, or I mean, hell, dude, when I was like, what, in that grade too, I was watching like Freddy Krueger, Jason, and all that crazy stuff with you. So in my mind, like I said, I always thought two things. Like, I always gave it the two side of the story, never one. But yeah, and then it was weird because I wanted to grab the toy. And he's like, no, I can't. Like, I can't let you. You could only see it. But it looked. The weird thing was about, like I said, it looked like just like a miniature person, and the little figure was all black. Like no face, no like drawings on it, no nothing. It's just like pretty much. I don't know if you've ever seen those wooden looking figures that are big but in miniature, kind of look like that.
Kind of like a voodoo doll or something.
Maybe now that you think about it, I didn't really think about it like that. But then again, it just kind of thought about this story because he said it would, like, you know, it was his friend and it would protect him. So it kind of reminded me of the story you just told. I mean, in your eyes, dude, if you were in my shoes, or, if you kind of always saw this kid that would stick out of the group and would always kind of share or say weird comments, like, in your mind, do you think he's just being a kid, or do you actually think, he's different? I mean, because me personally, I'm not gonna lie to you. At first, I was like, man, this kid's just on some bullshit.
Hmm.
But like I said, even then, like, just, oh, I guess, like I said, always hearing the other side of the spectrum would always, like I said, me being superstitious, I was like, man, I think this kid legit has some type of powers or some type of association. Who knows? Maybe he saw his mom, or I don't know anything. You never know.
Yeah, no, because yeah, no, kids learn from somewhere, all the time. Like as we grow up, that we imitate. We see something that our parents are doing, and by nature we want to do it. So there has to be somewhere where he learned that. He picked that up somewhere. Like you just don't. I mean, it's a possibility that his imagination was so great.
But dude, how did he know those specific steps too? Like, they were so specific. Like, how would, like, a third grader, fourth grade, I think a third or fourth, know, like, to do that specific thing? Like, okay, maybe that if someone tells you, yeah, I went to the bathroom, Bloody Mary, yeah, then okay, I might believe it, might not. But hearing that he had to go to the basement and it had to be dark, he had to put candles, spin around, toss them up, and he couldn't drop them or else. Yeah. Oh, that was a weird thing, dude. He said, like, if he ever dropped them, like, it wasn't, that was it. And I was like, what did that mean? And he would always be like, that was it.
That he would like die or something.
He never did specify. He would just always say like that was it. He's like, that's why he's like, I never drop, like, you can't drop him. And the weird thing was that he said that how he would catch him sometimes is that he would throw it him up and, like, have his shirt kind of like extended out so it wouldn't fall. But I always thought that was weird. Like I said, even, like, I mean, do kids growing up, we have the craziest and most vivid imagination, especially some of them, like, they being really creative now, even before and nowadays.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, he got it from somewhere. Regardless, like that little ritual that he did. It had to be from somewhere. So I don't know. Like I said, it could have either been his imagination, or imagine it could have been for real. Like that would have been pretty crazy, dude. But yeah.
Because me personally, like, hearing it now, or, like, if I would have been hearing that kid was telling me that now, I would have believed him. Like, I would have been more on the believable side than the not. Just because of a lot of times that I feel like those types of spirits or entities or whatever power they may be try to mess with like the innocence or the kind of like the mind that is like not yeah, like weak minded, like innocence. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In a way, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, there's especially now because we do the podcast, and well, not just because we do the podcast, but even before that, like I believe in a lot of superstitious things, and that there's something there, like whether it be ghosts, UFOs, thing of that sort. Like I'm a firm believer, just because I've seen and I've been a witness to like a lot of different things that I'm like, okay, there's no explanation for it, so there's definitely something out there. Like we're not alone. Like nah, like I know some people are like, like that doesn't exist or it doesn't bother them, but I'm a firm believer that it exists.
Yeah, it's kind of like the saying that when I feel like the people that say money doesn't bring happiness are the people that have it or have money, and I just like kind of goes the same way. Like I feel like people that don't believe it haven't experienced it or haven't seen that, but believe me, guys, I'm pretty sure like all that's legit real. Like I said, maybe sometimes people can do things or somehow manipulate things, but there's definitely something out there, guys. Like I said, there is.
Yeah, no, there is. Like I said, so I have another story. Create a space where people can wear their truth, embrace their struggles, and find strength in their darkest moments. We're here to remind you that no matter what life throws your way, you have the power to fight back. You can save 10% off on your order with Midnight 10. 10% off again with your order Midnight 10. Look at the quality of these shirts, guys. Everything about it. It just looks perfect, The lettering, the graphics, everything. So I'm gonna say it in Spanish. It's macabre corazón, so macabre heart. Like I said, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to pronounce my some of my words are not. My pronunciation isn't that great. Um, so basically, it starts off with this. There's a niece, right, and she has two aunts. One of the aunts is already in the university, and the other one's younger. So she goes to visit them a lot in their house. So since their parents live there, like obviously they're the niece's grandparents. So they give her like gifts for Christmas and stuff like that. So there's this Christmas where they give her a doll. Um, but the thing about that doll that's for its time it was really advanced. Like it was a little doll that had a heart right here, a crystal heart, and like the doll would like move, and I believe it would kind of like not specifically like walk, but it would do like a lot of things that dolls at that time wouldn't do. So the special thing about that doll is that it was like a sick doll. So I don't know if you remember. I think our sister had one. I'm not sure. So in order to activate that doll, you would have to lay the doll down, and it would start like coughing, and then she'll say, "Mommy, take care of me. Mommy, take care of me." Like the doll will get sick. Like I said, I don't know if you remember those dolls.
No, dude, I kind of vaguely, but not necessarily. I would have to definitely see a picture if you put one up.
I think they're called PJ Sparkles.
Nah, dude, I don't remember.
No, like I'll put a picture so you guys can see it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that one. It's called PJ Sparkle. So, like I said, in order to activate that doll, you would have to lay it down, and then you would basically, nurture it back to health. So then it came a time where obviously she would leave her toys there because since she would visit all the time, she would just go and be like, okay, well, I could just go and play with my toys at grandma and grandparents' house. And she would put the doll like on a hamper because that hamper always had clothes. So since she would put the doll all the way on the top, they were like at eye level. So I guess she felt more comfortable with her doll being eye level, but she left it in the hallway, you know?
Yeah.
And then she left it in the hallway and what's it called? The She wasn't there obviously because she had gone back home. But like I think like a few days later, there was this instance where the older sister and the little sister like the older sister had to go to the restroom, so since she didn't turn on the lights, she like rushed it into the bathroom, and the little sister was out there like waiting for her. So then you could see like the moonlight like hit the doll, and then all of a sudden all you hear is mommy, take care of me. And then the little sister looks at the older sister. The older sister like, did you hear that? She's like, yeah. And she's like, but why would she speak? Like, like she, she doesn't activate unless you lay her down. So the older sister's trying to be tough, and she grabs the doll and she shakes it like, oh, you think you scare me? And it says, mommy, take care of me. So she freaked out and she drops it. She picks it back up and she leaves it in the hallway. She's like, I'm just gonna leave it there, like, like they're freaking out, dude. So then she doesn't know what to do. So she basically, like I said, she leaves it out in the hallway, and then they tell their dad. They're like, you know what? Like, I think there's something wrong with the doll. Like, it literally, like, by itself, like, it activates. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's not supposed to do that. And like, they let him know, and they start like he's like a firm believer, like, of things like that happen. So he basically, I think he gets like scared too because of what they told him. So they're like, okay, you know what? Um, we're gonna get rid of it. So he basically takes it, and I think he burns the doll. It doesn't really specify what he does with it, right? So then, they're in their house again by themselves, and then all of a sudden, like, it's, I think, nighttime, and then they just hear again like, "Mommy, take care of me," but it was like distorted, like the voice was distorted. So then, oh no, but I skipped one part. Like, before they told the dad that, like, when she heard the doll say that, like, she threw the doll into the hallway, like, boom. And then she said that she heard the doll like fall into the hallway. She threw it, and she said that it sounded like the doll was trying to get up, like it was crackling, like, like it was crackling. But she's like, I don't know if it was because I threw it, but regardless, why? How would it get up? Like, there's no mechanism for it to get up. You get me? Like, it would have just stopped at that moment.
Yeah, no, that thing definitely has something inside of it. Like, ain't no way that, especially with like that cracking noise. No, that's definitely some sinister shit right there.
Yeah, and then fast forward to the part where the dad gets rid of it. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't explain how he got rid of it, but then later on, like a few days later, a few weeks later, they start hearing it again. Like the sisters, they hear it in the hallway. Like, mommy, take care of me. And they're like, what the hell? Dad said he got rid of it. So they both open the door and they peek, and in the distance they could see the little heart lighting up. Yeah, dude.
Dude, no way. Did they say what happened next, or just kind of left it in the
No,
there?
it does say what happened next, buddy. What would you do in that instance if you saw the heart in the distance glowing after your dad, like, said, okay, I got rid of it. Like, you don't gotta worry. And you know for sure he got rid of it because he's a firm believer in the paranormal. So for sure he got rid of it.
Man, I'm jumping on top of my dad's like arms and telling him, "Let's get the fuck out of here."
So then, like, they look out there, and then they start screaming, and the dad comes. They're like, he's like, what happened? What happened? Like, the doll's back. The doll's back. And he's like, what the hell? And like, what are you talking about? And they're like, look, look, look in the hallway. And he could see the heart lighting up, and he could hear, mommy, take care of me, but distorted. So then he turns on the lights and he goes and he looks, and it's just the heart, dude. So it's like, okay, how was it speaking if they didn't have the speaker? Like, the speaker is like attached to the back, if I'm not mistaken, and the little heart's just on the chest. So he grabs the heart and he tosses it outside of the house, boom, like as far as he can. So he throws it, and then he could just see it like disappear in the distance. And then after that, everything stops. But imagine, like, if somebody else found the heart and somebody else took the heart, or another little kid found it.
Yeah, you can only imagine what what awaited, what kind of entity awaited them, And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be a good one because to me it seemed like it was like trying to latch on to the girl, and for some reason it didn't want to let go. The fact that it kept coming back, and it kind of made it seem like like I guess for my personification, I think that it means like that the fact that the heart was still there was that she was like the main heart of it or the main of it. So it's like that's what I want.
Yeah, and there was actually, I'll try to tell this story like as good as I can, because this one I heard it maybe like about a year ago or so, maybe a year or two ago. Um, so there was this instance where there was a family too. It was like the daughter, the mom, the dad, but they didn't really have money. Like, they didn't have money. She didn't really have toys. and then they went to the plaza, where they sell like all this different stuff, like different things. It's kind of like a market, like you guys like a plaza in Spanish in Mexico. It's like a market where they sell like everything, like they sell fruits, food, um, toys, like everything,
Yeah, you could literally, guys. Like I said, a lot of a lot of Hispanic or Latinos out there, you guys know what we mean when like you go to the mercados, and like I said, it's full of everything, man. Like I said, and I feel like a lot of the people are really genuinely nice and welcoming. You know.
Yeah, so then there's this instance where, like she doesn't have money or anything, she doesn't have toys. So she basically goes to like a little stand where the lady's selling toys, like different types of toys or like toys that look like a little older, and she likes this doll, the doll that she's selling. And she's like, how much is it? And she's all like, no, like you know what? I'm not even gonna charge you for it. Like you could just take it. Like just take it.
That's a red flag right there. Automatic red flag. The fact that she said you could just take it, like, that doesn't sound good to me.
So she gave it to her, and like everywhere the little girl would go, she would take it to, like everywhere. But there was a point in time where the family members started noticing that she wouldn't eat, like she wouldn't shower, like she would just wanted to be left alone with the doll. Like people would try to talk to her, she would get mad, she would get upset, like get away from me, you know,
Damn, dude. And so that thing's taking over her, bro.
something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was doing something, like changing her energy. So then the mom starts to freak out, and she tries to like, I think she tries to go and give it back to the lady, but the stand's not there anymore. Like the little spot where she got the doll from, like she's not there anymore. So then there's so she like, I think her last resort is like, from what I remember, is like to try to burn the doll. So she says that she grabs the doll in the patio, and she like puts it and she soaks it in like gas. And she said that she turned it on, like she threw a match in there, and like the fire would light up, but the doll wouldn't burn, dude. Like it wouldn't burn. So she started pouring more gas, and eventually the doll started burning up. But it said that it started like contorting all crazy, and it started screaming.
Damn. Damn. But it makes me wonder. I wonder if like it was burning that thing that was in, or if it like what it that like to me, I feel like it was taking over like the little girl, like as in her soul or something. The fact that she wouldn't eat or bathe or anything, to me, I feel like it was feeding off her and like taking control of her. So I don't know if what he was consuming of her was the thing that, or the what entity itself, you know?
Yeah, no, and not just that, but the little girl didn't even like, she wasn't there when her mom burned the doll. But then like after that, I guess she was sleeping and she woke up and she went up to her mom and she straight up told her, she's like, I know what you did. Like I know what you did, and just because you did that doesn't mean that that she's gonna go away. Like she's gonna be here forever. Yeah, so that's another trippy story, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the fact that they're very just like kind of like putting it as a statement saying like, yeah, no, there's like nice try, but that's not gonna do anything. Little do you know that you're gonna make it even worse now.
Yeah, like I'm really like into that. Ever since I was little, like I would like Chucky. Shout out to Tales from the Hood. Shout out to Tales from the Hood. That stuff. It's pretty cool though. I'm not gonna lie. The story behind those stuff, like as a little kid, you think like, oh, it's funny or it's scary, but once you get the real message, like it starts to click in your head. I was always fascinated by like killer dolls, things like that. So even up to right now, like sometimes I'm like, man, that's pretty scary. And I know you always tell me like, dude, you're way bigger than a doll. You could just like kick it and stuff like that. But in my head, I'm still like, oh, it's like something that I guess never truly goes away.
Yeah, no, and I mean when I would always say that, I didn't. I mean, yeah, I guess it to me, like I said, if I saw like I guess, and like if I saw Chucky, dude, imagine you see Chucky with the knife. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's. I would be pretty freaked out because I mean, not only does he have a blade, but there's like this thing running at me. But I guess in the sense, it's like if I saw like maybe a stuffed animal or something like that, just moving or something. I guess I wouldn't be that scared. But I mean, I guess it just truly matters on how I guess bad that is or what exactly it is. Because obviously I think it's different it does something malicious to oppose if it doesn't. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but like I was saying, like I always been fascinated with possessed dolls, haunted dolls, things like that. So if you guys have any stories of like similar things like with dolls and stuff like that, share them, send them our way. We could like read them out and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. Just to know that I'm not the only one that has experienced things or of that sort, and I'm not the only one that has read stories and believe in that. So definitely, guys, if you do guys have any stories similar, share them, send them my way, and we'll read them out.
Yeah, now that we're kind of talking about it, just like a lot of it being dealing with kids or being young and all that. Do you remember growing up, like how they always had that little myth or legend or thing that they used to say at school of that clown that would be in the bathroom? How like if you went to that bathroom, it would come out on you, and even then it was kind of weird because that bathroom was really scary. And the odd thing was too that it was always closed a lot. Apparently, it was because like of the pipe system or something, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that I believe it or something, but maybe like I said, it's kind of like the mind plays tricks on you. But I'm pretty sure I remember right hearing that. Like I feel like it was passed down all the time. Like, oh yeah, that clown is here, that clown is here, which is why I feel like a lot of people avoided that bathroom.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember because obviously I went to that school before you, to that building at least. And I do remember people would say there was a clown in that bathroom. And now that you mentioned it, it was like chained up. They would like chain it up. So that was pretty weird. Like they would make you go to the bathrooms like upstairs instead of that one
Yeah, and it was literally right there by the lunchroom.
by the
And I'm telling
lunchroom.
you, like a lot of times, they would say it was a piping system, but the weird thing was that I forgot who or I can't remember, but the the janitor that was gonna quit at that time, um, I remember I forgot who, but somebody had like one of the eighth graders straight up told them like, oh, like why are they like? Is it true? Like blah blah blah. But who knows? Him being an adult and him leaving, maybe he was just messing with them. And he told them like, yeah, none of that piping system is real. Like it's because this yada yada. Like there is something, but I don't know. I don't know. To me, he was probably just trying to get a little thrill or something off it. I don't know.
I would have been like, I'm leaving because their clown almost killed me or something. Make the story more believable. Tell these little kids like, yeah, that clown's in there. That's why they lock it up all the time.
Yeah, no, and the kind of crazier thing though that I kind of looked more into it. So with them saying that there was a clown in the school, but I kind of looked up and they said like around that time, well even earlier, there was this one guy that was apparently dressing up as this other clown that would be on TV called Homie the Clown. And apparently here like in the Chicagoland area, it all started from a kid saying that he saw a van and that he was trying to lure kids in, but apparently it was just like a kind of the most evidence they had was just the word of mouth, by the kid. But they guess how I guess scary it is, or I guess um impactful it is. How like the child abduction. The parents like I guess got freaked out and then they got Chicago police involved. They did investigations, but apparently they never found anything. But to me, dude, like I don't know. Like I said, now as an adult and seeing so many things and how cold the world can be. I mean, that description kind of fits the note as like a someone that's trying to prey on children, like the
Yeah,
the typical van,
the white
the
van,
white van,
tinted
and I think
windows.
they said it was blue. He said it was blue or white, but
Oh,
that he would
blue.
like have candy and try to lure, you know, kids and stuff like that. But I don't know. It makes you think like, was that kid just trying to get attention or was it real? But to me, I don't know. I feel like it was legit. There's a lot of sick people that tend to do things like that. That'll dress up like certain characters or animals to lure the kids. And like oh you see a little kid that likes bluey, but you see a guy in there they're like oh come with me, and little do they know
Like,
they're not.
okay.
Yeah, but I just think it's really crazy that like they did all that investigation and they didn't find anything. So it makes you think like was that guy just good at hiding or did he hide his tracks? Like was he good at what he did? Did it really never exist? Was the kid just trying to get attention? But the weird thing was that it was by I don't know if it was just by that one child or multiple. I think it was just that one. Oh, just kind of talking about clowns too. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear like these words like phantom clowns?
phantom clowns or like a ghost clown, I guess. Oh, I think I know what you're gonna talk about. I was about to mention that.
Yeah, so I thought I would think the same thing too, right? Like a ghost or a phantom that's a clown. No, so phantom clowns like was that time period or like when those people would dress up like clowns and go to people's doorbells or knock and like be all scary and just like stand there and look or have some of them would have like knives or blades.
Machetes and shit.
Yeah, so around it popped off like around 2000. And it started around there, I think, and then it popped off in 2016. Do you remember when we were living through that time here? Do you remember when they were passing it in the news? Like, if we find any pictures, we'll put some up of some. But dude, here I remember there was a lot of cases here where they would be doing that. Like, dude, you remember that shit?
Yeah, I remember with the clowns. Like they would just be chilling there, like with their head tilted to the side. I'm surprised nobody got shot. To be honest, with all that going on, like fuck around, find out. That's what they say, So it's like I'm surprised, honestly, nobody got shot.
Yeah, dude. And even then, like, could you imagine how terrifying that is? Like to me, I don't know. Like I was always told that saying that mom, grandma, and our older like ten más miedo de los vivos que los muertos. In other words, be more scared of the living, not the dead.
Yeah,
Because to me, like if I were like, yeah, if I see a ghost standing outside my door, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll be like, oh shit. But if I see like an actual physical human being out there, and then they
with a
had
knife or
the knife,
something.
yeah, at 12, 1 in the morning. What the hell am I gonna do? Imagine you're home alone.
You gotta bust out the G Glock.
But but even then, like, could you imagine, like, you take if that imagine that person, like, or let's just say just skepticism or you being paranoid. What if that person is just luring? What if they're behind in your yard? What if they're on the side? What if that's just them to get you out? I think, dude, during that time it was pretty scary, dude. Like I think that time I hated clowns more than ever. I guess you would say I was kind of scared, not of them necessarily, but the fact of them I guess looking so ominous and them wanting to hurt people or not hurt people, but I don't think there was anything tied up with them hurting people, but
They just
like
wanted to scare
scared.
people.
Yeah, like what don't you have anything better to do? I mean, I just really hope that this Halloween or we didn't start anything back up with talking about this, but I mean, I really hope that it doesn't do that because usually in Halloweens it does happen a lot, and I'm pretty sure here there's always gonna be those a-holes that are gonna do that.
Well, yeah, dude, there was like a lot of YouTubers that would do that. Like they would go out and just like record themselves dressed up as clown and chase people with like sledgehammers and stuff like that. Remember?
Oh, that guy, the foreign guy with the whistle. I forgot. I don't
Yeah,
know if he was, what was he, Swedish or from where, Romania? I don't know. I remember,
yeah.
dude. If we could find that guy and put a little picture of his, oh, dude, with the whistle. Oh, man, dude. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that's where things like that though can become really dangerous though, because yeah, you're playing your trick on a person, but you never know when someone's gonna do something that like I said, I just don't think that's a good idea. Like I said, you mess with the wrong person, you're gonna get a really bad outcome. And you do never know what someone's been through or like, if they've had an actual traumatic event of that same nature or even similar. And it's like, dude, you're pushing it.
Yeah, and then also I remember a long time ago they had these little baby dolls. It's not like scary per se, but I think the doll would like the mechanism. It would have something to do with like it ate something or you would feed it, but he was like eating people's like little kids' hair, and it was like getting stuck in their mouth.
Oh yeah, it was motor battery powered, and I think it was the Cabbage Patch Kids, the babies that you were able to feed them, and it would do that. But I think it started like it would kept going, and like it would little kids' hair would get stuck in it, and even to the point where I guess some of them would put their finger, and it would like bite them.
Yeah, could you imagine you get your kid a little baby and then it's eating the the hair and shit or like biting the finger like ah.
Yeah, man, and it just goes to show you what like kind of always thinking about of defects or glitches or things like that. I feel like a lot of times, sometimes we try to be realist or more on the conscious side of things and be like, yeah, we just saw that toy talk, but nah, it was probably the batteries. It's malfunctioning. It's probably because it's old or this and that. But I feel like I said now I kind of stand more on my point that like yeah, like I'm not gonna lie to you. If I see something, I'm gonna still be like that. But my what I'm trying to say is that now I'm definitely more open minded and more on the considering side that it could have been something else.
Yeah, also speaking of like dolls and stuff like that, and There's a story that I told. I think it's on the only reason why I remember is because obviously we're still early on the podcast. Don't think I'm gonna remember. Oh, like this is episode 50 and this happened on episode 12. Like no, since we're still fairly new to this, I'm pretty sure it's episode 2 where we talked about this little teddy bear. And the story's pretty cool too, so definitely check that out. Obviously the quality is not gonna be the greatest, or like how we do all this is not the same. But definitely check that out. It'll be, it's the audio is not that great, but just check it out. You guys will like it. But other than that, I'm gonna try to see like what other subject or topic we could talk about. Do you have any other stories or like conspiracy theories that we could talk about right now?
I mean, kind of like just thinking about what you said about the Cabbage Patch Kids doing that. I remember do that. I'm pretty sure we've all had one or played with the Tamagotchi toy. I
Oh, the
remember,
little egg thing.
yeah, the little one where you would have the like an animal and you would take care of it and whatnot and feed it or and et cetera, et cetera. I remember that supposedly people would say that like they would put on say stories that they would have some of them like turn on at 3 a.m. and the animal would be crying or say it would feel not like it wouldn't feel good. So that's kind of weird now that like the tech like it's literally technology, but you know, and even then some people would say that apparently they would feed it or etc. Some people would still in that they would still experience that it would be crying and they would say that it wasn't feeling well. I think it could get sick if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
I remember you had to feed it too. Like you would have to feed it. Like it would get hungry because I had a lot of them, dude. Like I had a ton of them. I'm surprised I lost them, but I have a lot. I had.
Yeah, but I think it could get. I can't remember. I think it did or not. But yeah, and then when it started getting like when it wanted your attention or it was hungry, it would kind of make the noise. No, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, people would say that they would hear it around 3 a.m. and all that. So imagine like I said, maybe someone that's not into that type of things, they're probably not gonna think too much of it. Just turn it off or the batteries or maybe it was etc. But when you think about it, 3 a.m you know it's saying that it's not feeling well or kind of like to me that's like a that something is doing that to like show or tell you that something like it's not gonna be a good time, like kind of like messing with the person, like using the little Tamagotchi to mess with them to be like, yeah, that this is not feeling good, you're not gonna feel good.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they would wake up at like 3 in the morning. Because
I mean, people would say, the like for like I said, everything is really skepticism sometimes. It's really like what you believe, because like I said, supposedly like they would say that it wasn't true, that this and that. But like I said, when you think about companies like that, no company is gonna want to be like, yeah, my thing is haunted or this and that, or even associated with that. So 9 out of the 10 times always gonna be a technological error. I mean, even then, like I told you, even when we see something, we could literally see something fall right in front of us, and then like we'll probably be like, oh, it was because I don't know, like I accidentally dropped it or it was at a wrong angle or the wind, like I feel like that's we usually do that.
yeah, and then so I know people want us to talk about the what was it, the trolls or the what was it, the was it the trolls or the gnomes, or what was it,
Yeah,
the
trolls, gnomes, like elves, stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do have one story about I think it's the little gnomes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we should probably just save that one for the next one, and then just we'll kind of dive into it more. But I mean, if you do want to say it, I mean, feel free, but it's up to you.
Yeah, it's just a quick little story. It's nothing. Well, it's crazy. I was gonna say it's nothing too crazy, but it is crazy.
All right, go for it. Screw
I
it.
definitely trust the person that told me this 100%. This person I've known for since I was like 14. And like I trust this person with my life, with like everything. This person wouldn't lie. And then this person's dad as well. Like I know that him for a long time too, and like yeah, he wouldn't lie either. But the story goes that he was out in the, like, I guess like in this little forest area that they would go play, and he was with his little brother. And then he said he kind of like not separated himself too far, but just a little bit, and that there was these little like gnomes that started like calling his little brother, and that they grabbed him by the hand and they took him. And he said that he went and tried to get him, but he was gone, dude. Like they took him and they like literally like they took him, dude. And then the parents were like, "Where your little brother?" And he's like, "Nah, like I don't know." Like they took him and then they never found him. They never like he just never appeared. Like and they were like, "We told you to take care of him." He's like, "I was, but they took him."
Dude, that's crazy. Dude, like I don't even know why they would leave him unattended. You know, I mean, I'm no one to say, but um, I do think that's crazy, dude. Like, cause like I said, sometimes we don't ever know what really happened. You know, I'm not saying that he's lying or not, but just imagine what like only he knows. You know, only he knows. I feel like everyone has their own opinions. I know, but just imagine, dude. Like you're how old, and it's like you're responsible for your brother. You know.
Let's just say he was maybe like seven, from
Yeah. See,
7 to 10, I would say, and the little brother was like five,
see. So
4.
you're that young, and then you're already like giving that responsibility, and you know your freaking goal is like or your mission is like I gotta protect him, and then next thing you know you see something like that. Like, dude, how do you even explain that? Like, like to that pressure to them, the parents were like, nah,
You did something.
yeah, you did something out of jealousy, or I don't know, something vindictive, or I don't know. Like, it's always, which kind of sucks that sometimes they always kind of more on the against you side than with you side. And I don't know if that's kind of like everywhere or what, but yeah, that is really frustrating when your parents are more on the blaming side than, oh yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because even like I said, I don't know if I'm not gonna like go into all the stories right now because obviously I want to save some. I do remember in our Mexico episode, I did mention that I would go to those stores where they had like a lot of like occult stuff, like statues, amulets, um, good luck charms. Like I guess they could do work for you as well. Like if you wanted to do like curses or love ties, stuff like that. Like I don't know if I mentioned all that in the Mexico episode, but I'll definitely watch it again. And if I did, then you guys could just rewatch that episode. If not, then soon enough, I'll touch back on that subject. But yeah, no, Mexico's definitely a trip. Um, we do have um, we do have a lot more stories, especially from the house that we talked about. In the first episode, like there's more stories that we didn't even know about. Like now, like and obviously it's making sense. Like there was definitely something there. There is definitely something there. Like I don't know. Like I'm pretty sure it's demonic. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, we would definitely have love to have them be here with us, or even be like, like I guess from their computer guys, but unfortunately, a lot of our relatives over there don't have the technology or resources like in that sense. So yeah, we just kind of were in contact with them or certain people. So definitely, like I said, be ready and be in tune to hear those stories, because you're definitely gonna want to hear them. You're gonna be on your feet, or kind of be on that more and think inside, like, man, how or what exactly is in that house,
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna do a second episode from Mexico. Like just like scary stories from Mexico, and then regarding that house. I'm gonna try to get my cousin in one of our episodes, so she could talk to us more in depth because she was staying over there for a while. So hopefully soon I could get her in here with us, and we'll all three of us will talk about like basically she could share her stories, and she could basically tell you guys like her experiences and what she's been through. Because like I said, she was living there for a while. Like I said, I lived there for a while too, but not as long as her. So she's definitely got some juicier stories. But other than that, I mean, anything else you want to talk about, or you want to conclude the episode?
Yeah, man, I think that's gonna honestly be the end of it. Like I said, do stay tuned for new episodes. We're definitely have way more to talk about, or to just inform, whether it be from back in the time or recent times. We really appreciate everyone being here as always. Being you guys being kind of communicate with us, or whether just sharing the video, liking it, or commenting. Me and my brother always appreciate the feedback too. So, like I said, always be on the lookout for new episodes. And you want to say anything before we head out, dude?
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe as always. Be safe out there. Thank you for taking the time of your busy day, especially on a weekend, just to come and, listen to our podcast. Well, I don't know if we're going to be uploading this exactly on the weekend or it will be on the weekday, but just definitely, appreciate you guys. Appreciate for taking time out of your day. Thank you. And we'll be back with more episodes. Yeah, just thank you guys for tuning in.
Be sure to check out all our social, guys. All our socials are located on like our YouTube page. And yeah, we're always like kind of trying to be more I guess participate more in those things. Like I said, we're learning. But like I said, do always check those things. Like we're trying to be more involved as always. But thank you again, guys, and we'll see you next time. As always, this is the Midnight Safe Room where you're safe and no topic is off limits.
A red glow crawls across the wall. You hear